So it's an enemy, a very big enemy, and there are very few foot and ankle surgeons. That's where we find problem. It's a day-to-day problem in our practice. But I feel that plantar heel pain is not the diagnosis. Let us all aim to arrive at etiological diagnosis of plantar heel pain. And how do you arrive at etiological diagnosis of plantar heel pain? Just ask 3 questions whenever you examine your patient. 3 simple questions. Question 1. Is this heel pain referred or local? It could be from hip, SI joint, knee, any other thing, or it could be from local. And how do you know that? A distant pain would have dominance of that main pathology. It would have its signs and symptoms of that pathology. Almost normal examination of foot and ankle and investigations are going to help you to define that this heel pain is coming from spine or is coming from some other place than the local cause. The question 2 to arrive at etiological diagnosis is locally originating heel pain due to local pathology or is due to systemic pathology? And how do you know that? Local pathology would almost always give unilateral pain, and systemic pathology would give almost always bilateral pain. There would be signs and symptoms of systemic pathology. There could be involvement of other joints, and then you would come to the diagnosis. And the last question is, which is the etiology for that locally originating heel pain? And then etiology could be mechanical, where patient could have a flat foot or a pes cavus, or could be neuritic, when patient would have a pain which is originating from the pressure over the first branch of lateral plantar nerve. It could be infective, it could be bony, or it could be combined. And this is a very, very important side. The location of pain is a guide to the diagnosis. That if you have a pain which is in the center radiating right down, it is pain from tarsal tunnel. If you have a posterior pain, obviously Pradeep had a fantastic lecture, it's from the insertional pathology. Stress fracture would give pain onto the posterior calcaneal tuberosity right into the center. A pain of neuritic origin, pressure onto nerve to abductor digiti quinti or abductor digiti minimi, would be somewhere over here. It would be more upwards than that of the plantar fasciitis, and fat pad atrophy would give pain directly central. History also tells us, we always ask patient that do you get morning stiffness? When you put a foot in the morning you get pain, but we don't ask in detail that whether that pain is at heel strike or pain is at toe off. The pain at heel strike is due to fat pad atrophy or stress fracture, but pain at toe off is due to plantar fasciitis. Night pain would suggest infective or tumor etiology. Radiation of pain would suggest neuritic etiology. Shifting tenderness would suggest neuritic etiology. So, after asking these 3 questions, these are the sample etiological diagnoses I come up with. Plantar heel pain due to proximal plantar fasciitis plus compression of nerve to abductor digiti minimi in a case of adult acquired flat feet with obesity. Or it could be plantar heel pain due to distal plantar fasciitis in a case of gout with malunited midfoot fracture. This is how we should be arriving at the etiological diagnosis. Then only management becomes simple and focused. How do I manage heel pain? 3-step protocol. Step 1, utilization of primary conservative treatment modalities. We always worry about the amount of weight gain, but we don't worry about amount of weight bearing time. That's equally important. That's what we need to ask patient to reduce. NSAIDs, neurotropics, they form important part of primary conservative modality. Heel supports and orthotics, and this is what we use a lot at our center. That's a night splint to maintain ankle into 0 to 5 degree of dorsiflexion, so that in the morning plantar fascia doesn't become stiff and the morning stiffness is reduced. And physiotherapy. These two are the hallmark physiotherapy, where with one we are stretching tendo Achilles and with other you are stretching your plantar fascia. And then these are various exercises which patient practices. This is by trump card activity. Trump card activity. You need to make your patient busy with doing something, and they come back and complain, you know. So ask a patient to roll a can or a bottle under the foot to stretch or to relax the plantar fascia. Steroids, very, very rarely. If at all you want to give steroid, you you palpate the spur. For the beginners, it would be worthwhile to have look at image, see the spur, see the bony point, and then slide your needle, which would go dorsal to the spur. You should inject dorsal to the spur, not into the spur, not into the plantar fascia, not below the plantar fascia. Otherwise, patient will develop fat pad atrophy. I most commonly use posterior tibial nerve block to break off the pain cascade. But this is what is most important thing. Always, always, I ask my patient to put this sentence in the bedroom, and ladies, I am asking them to put this in the kitchen, that my heel pain is going to get relieved. It's just a self-limiting condition. Primary conservative treatment modalities are continued for 3 to 6 months, mind you. Failing that, you go to the step 2, that is secondary conservative treatment modalities. What are they? They are again tried for another 6 to 12 months, another 5 to 12 months. You could give a Belloni walking plaster or a walking boot, extracorporeal shock wave therapy, various series, they have rated results up to 80%, and radio frequency topaz coagulation. That's extracorporeal shock wave therapy machine which we use. Again, the principle is it breaks up the vascular and the scar tissues, it induces neovascularization and brings in the stem cells for the repair. And this is how we do it. And radio frequency, this is the machine which is being used. Again, the same principle, it is like a cautery, but it is a targeted cautery, and it would be more precise form of electrocautery. Coblation means controlled ablation, where the tissues are dissolved surgically with use of plasma-based radiofrequency device. This is the way I do it. Patient is asked to mark the painful area, and then this sort of small K wires are pushed in. You could also have image check, and this is replaced with the wand, and the radiofrequency energy is fired. That's a distal plantar fasciitis. That's how I have marked it. A K wire is replaced with a radio frequency wand, and then you fire the radio frequency, and then this is how the whole plantar fascia painful area is fired with the radio frequency. PRP, I have not tried it. I am yet to wait and look for evidence-based medicine to tell me it works. Really, gastro release I have not tried. If all these first primary as well as secondary modalities they fail, and if this treatment is given for not less than 12 months, I resort to surgical modality of the treatment, and not before 12 months, as I said. And mind you, after surgery it takes about 3 months for patient to get cured. What do you do at surgery? Release of plantar fascia as a soft tissue procedure, decompression of the first branch of lateral plantar nerve or nerve to abductor digiti minimi as neurological procedure, and sometimes excision of heel spur as bony procedure. You could do this surgery open, you could do this surgery endoscopic. That's the postoperative 3 years scar which looks like. Endoscopic surgery I feel is not my cup of tea. I really cannot practice or do this, and so what I do is open surgery, but mind you, this is done only after trying conservative care for not less than 12 to 14 months. So partial plantar medial plantar fasciectomy is done. That's a 28 years old male patient a supine position, bright illumination. I use loops, bipolar coagulation. That's the X-ray of this patient. That's how he is positioned. And that's the incision. And look at this incision, I take it little below so that I am able to address everything. Then as you go down, you encounter the superficial fascia of abductor hallucis muscle, which you release. I also go up and release flexor retinaculum, because I want to trace the nerves right from there till end. And then you encounter the deep fascia of abductor hallucis muscle, which you separate and you cut and you release. Once you release this deep fascia of abductor hallucis muscle, that's how you release it, and you find the nerve lying just beneath it, and you do partial plantar fasciectomy, about 2 to 4 mm of, it's a half a minute. Plantar fascia is excised, and then you check your release right from up to down. That's abductor hallucis, and then that's the plantar area. I'll take a Freyer and I'll check complete release, and that's the closure. Thank you.